Don't crucify me here, but Igarashi Gurumi is going to be pivotal in order for Bayern Munich to win this match against PXG. You heard it here first. Well, maybe not first, but you heard it here nonetheless. I actually mentioned this for the first time, like I think 5 months ago when I dropped the poll. So I've been heavy on the Yapping Monk train. I'm not gonna lie. What's up, crew? It's Captain Boorex back again, and today we're gonna be talking about this man, Igarashi Gurumi, the heavenly foul drawer, the monk, whatever you want to call him. And again, we have another Yap session. This is basically Yap session number 2, where it's going to be mostly off the dome. So, you know, bear with me and hear me out. Igarashi Gurumi is just a guy who's been around from literally chapter 1. He was one of the worst players that was invited to Blue Lock, but that doesn't mean that he's garbage, right? Like, Igo invited top strikers in Japan, so that means he has some sort of football capability. From the very beginning, too, he's always been, like, just kind of the funny guy, you know what I mean? He's not, you know, like, I would say Raichi's the vibe guy, but Igarashi he's just always been there. Like, call it comic relief, you know, whatever you want to call it, but he's always been around. Him and Isagi were actually pretty close at one point because they were, you know, like, the two worst players, right? So we have throwbacks of them, like, you know, trading their food. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I don't really like that. You want some of this though? It's like, no, I actually hate that. But he's just a cool guy for real. What is Igarashi Gurumi's dream, you might ask? His dream is simply to not have to take over his family's temple. Him and his dad made a promise a while ago that if Igarashi could become a professional soccer player, he didn't have to take over the temple, and that's his thing. That's what he wants to do. That's why he's here. If you were to ask what Igarashi's weapon is, in the early stages, his weapon was Relentless Spirit. Like, this is literally a guy who's not gonna give up, right? Now it's probably his militia, his foul drawing, but we'll get to that eventually. When it comes to Relentless Spirit, one thing that I really enjoy about Igaguri's character is that he's the type of guy that's gonna put his body on the line, man. Like, you need a cat like that. Like, he's going to do his best whenever he gets the opportunity, and that's low-key why he's become like probably the most fun character to talk about. The most popular question about Igaguri is, how the hell is he still here? He made it past the first selection, he made it past the second selection. Don't ask me how he scored these 200 goals before the second selection, because I genuinely still have no clue. He made it out of the second selection though, right, on the 7th team. And he made it onto the U20 bench. How did that happen, right? And now he's on Bayern Munich. He hasn't played yet, but he's absolutely going to. There is zero doubt in my mind about that. And before we dive, you know, 100% into his role in this match against PXG, I just want to talk about kind of, you know, his history. Like, how did he, like, literally, how did he get here? What did that look like for him? Before we get into that though, let me say, if you guys rock with the content, if you like what you see, subscribe, join the crew, stick around. I love talking to people in the comments, so, you know, just stick around. I'd love to have you. I'm gonna try to keep this part short, but starting out, Igarashi is his actual name, but Igarashi is his nickname. He started out as the worst player in Blue Lock, right? He joined Team Z. He didn't score any goals or anything on Team Z, but his biggest feat is probably blocking this Nagi shot with his face, and then afterwards going up to him like, hey, asshole, like, I'm not scared of your prodigy ass, like, I got you locked down. He also, I think, assisted Kuon with one of his freaking op goals when he made the deal with the other team. But that, you know, that was the first selection for him. For the second selection, he came out on the 7th clear team with his famous Buddha be praised line. But how he got there is, and I feel like a lot of people may or may not remember this, but he was teamed up with Shido. So him and Shido were running duos, and he was part of the game that actually sent Kunigami out of Blue Lock and into the wild card. Basically, Kunigami and Ryo found Shido basically beating Igaguri's ass and wanted to help him, and then they lost, right? In this game, we got to see a flash of his militia, so he drew a foul here on Ryo, which gave them a possession back, which led to them getting a goal and ultimately winning this game, which is going to go into how he's going to be useful in this match, because in soccer, possessions are key, right? In the third selection, he played on Team A with Itoshi Rin and Shido, and I think he had Ishikari and Ryu as the other two villains. He didn't do anything crazy in this match, but he had the possession at one point. He played a little bit of defense. He didn't do terrible. And then you have the U20 game where Ego actually chooses him as a sub, which is kind of crazy. Because what led Ego to do that? Like, did he know the potential of his foul drawing, or what? Because he didn't really do anything during the third selection. He came out in the very last team in the second selection, but Ego saw something in him that Ego was like, you know what? Over all the other people in Blue Lock, I need Igaguri on the bench for this team. During the game against U20, he didn't do anything. He didn't play or anything, but he was there for Isagi to support him during his interview post-match. So he's just a really good support guy. Like, anyone that's doing well, he's always going to hype them up. You know what I'm saying? We also see him do that in the NEL for Isagi and anyone else who's, scoring at that time. He's a great supporter. As I've said, he hasn't played quite yet in the NEL, but that's going to change, So before this game started, we have this very nice, kind of wholesome conversation with Igaguri and Isagi, where Igaguri comes up to Isagi and he's straight up like, look, man, like, do you have any advice for me? Like, I haven't played. Dang it, my phone went off. But he's not afraid to go up and ask Isagi for advice, which I think in this series is something that should be valued, right? Because, the big thing in this series is like your ego. How strong is your ego, right? Claw your way up, figure it out, be number one. But you have this guy, Igaguri, who's started from the literal bottom, literally. He's stuck around this whole time. He isn't currently getting his shine to what he wants to do, but he's not afraid to go up to somebody and say, look, man, like, I really need some advice. Can you help me out? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I really want this to work out. You're doing really good. Do you have any words for me? Isagi can't, give any concrete advice, but he asked him, what's your dream? Why are you playing soccer? And Igaguri goes back to, well, I don't want to take over my family's temple. That's my goal. And Isagi has this epiphany that's just like, well, dang, dude, that's all you need, right, Igaguri? Like, that's your goal. You can go attain that. That's what you need to shoot for, right? I thought it was hilarious that Isagi had like his his very own Sukuna moment here, where he tells Igaguri to stand proud, like, you are strong, on his king of curses crap. But I thought that was really nice, and it was wholesome because, they are kind of buddies. Like, they've been together from the very beginning, right? Now you have Igaguri, who's motivated, who's like, I think that helped me find my answer. He's been working on his militia. He's been working on his foul drawing. Here you see him, before this game, you see him practicing with Kiora, and you have Noah watching from a distance. I mean, if that's not clear foreshadowing, I don't know what is. But this is also cool because then it's like, oh, like, do Kiora and Igaguri have some type of like relationship with each other? Like, are they buddies too? Because we don't really know anything about Kiora, but he's practicing with Igaguri one-on-one in their free time, which is pretty awesome. Now, his role in this game is going to be what? It's going to be one of two things in my head, right? The first thing is going to be that Igaguri is a Julian Loki counter, which is crazy, but I think that's more likely. The second one is that he is a Shido counter if Kunigami ever, vacates that space and isn't on Shido anymore, which I don't think will happen. I think the first one's more likely, but let's talk about both. Okay, so what is Julian Loki's weapon? It's his supersonic speed. He's the divine sprinter, Godspeed, like that's Loki, right? Okay. Now you have VAR, which is basically going to be a system to track fouls. That Igaguri's weapon is literally to fool VAR, right? So you have someone who is moving at literally a supersonic speed, faster than anyone in the football world in this series, and you have someone who's good at drawing fouls. That's a full counter to someone whose ability is speed, because Loki's going to be flashing by. It's going to be hard for refs or VAR or whoever to even pick up how he's moving, but you're going to see Igaguri flop, which is going to be a clear counter, can lead to a yellow card, can lead to a free kick, can lead to a red card, depending on how hard the foul is. And, oh yeah, by the way, in case you forgot, Loki is a World 5 member. Loki is one of the best soccer players in the world. If Igaguri is able to stop him through drawing fouls or getting him carded, that is a crazy salary offer. I'm thinking like a 40 million yen ball there. Like, that's crazy. That feat is ridiculous. And What do you guys think? If you think I'm tripping, let me know. I really don't think that I am, though, in this case, because all the pieces are here. But we'll talk about it in the comments. Again, I'm happy to go into this. That's number one, though. Number two, like I said, is he does this something similar for Shido. Him and Shido were teammates, by the way, like for a while. That's how they made it through the second selection. So he knows Shido. He probably know how he plays, right? He probably knows what's gonna make Shido mad. And making Shido mad, well, really talking to Shido in the first place is kind of a hell sentence, because I mean Shido will just beat ass just for funsies. So imagine Shido's about to score a goal, Igaguri stops him, you know, he makes him get a yellow card or something. Shido might get mad and try to axe kick him in the head again. Like, you really don't know. Shido was beating Sendo's ass just because he felt like it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Shido's a hothead. That may get Shido thrown out, which is another type of feat, which I don't think will get you a salary to get him through the top 23. But I mean, that's a feat though, to take out a top player, because Shido I think is number 4 right now in the NEL. So that's number 2. Opinions, thoughts, concerns. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about option number 2. Which one is more likely? That's mainly where I am about my favorite yapping monk. That's what I think he's gonna do in these games. If not, I mean, he's still going to stick around in some capacity, though. Like, even if he doesn't touch the field, which is literally not going to happen, he's going to stick around. Igaguri is not a character that's just going to be tossed to the side. I can guarantee all that. But yeah, that's going to conclude this Yap session. If you like this one, check out my first Yap session about Isagi's hat trick. I think you guys may rock with that. But, you know, talk soon, talk in the comments, talk in the community tab. Much love to you guys. I love you guys so much, man. You know, things are going well. The channel's growing. People are coming into the crew. So just so much love to you guys, man. Thank you guys so much. And I will talk to you guys very, very soon.